What's up, you guys? On today's topic, we'll be talking about the global depression in 2020. Are we heading for a global depression in 2020? Okay, first of all, let's look at the environment where central banks are at ZIRP and NIRP, which is zero interest policies, negative interest rate policies around the globe. QE unlimited, so they're printing money just to get liquidity into the markets. Everything is stopped, and liquidity is permitting the whole global system to continue functioning. Now, balance sheets are going parabolic. Everything is going parabolic. Since you decrease the value of interest, you increase the value of bonds. If bonds increase, then you have more assets, then you leverage more, you buy more assets, which decreases the yield, and you buy more assets to increase that rate on return, the return on investment. All right, unemployment is expected to be 32%. 32%, that's crazy. We're going into a new era, okay? What's going on right now is an excuse to take retail and bring it 100% online. When you have these companies, Amazon, these big companies that are 100% online, they're cutting, they don't have any staff. So it's hard to compete with them. When you see a laptop at Staples and it's $1,200 and you look at it on Amazon, it's $700, that has a deflationary effect on prices. It decreases it, and what happens is that the market, the GDP wants to go down because prices are going down. The market doesn't like deflation, it wants inflation. Now, what we also want is we want to create inflation. We're looking at creating inflation by buying local. A little secret on that is that even though there might be inflation, central banks around the world are saying that they want higher inflation, and they're going to keep artificially the interest rates lower. So if you understand the mechanism of that, you're able to borrow lower than the interest rate, the inflation rate. So if you borrow at a lower cost than inflation, it essentially puts money in the system. Now, assets are in bubbles everywhere. There's only two ways to get out of bubbles. Either you deleverage by paying off debt, or inflation. Inflation is one of the best ways to pay off debt. This is why they print more money or they go into quantitative easing, because when you use the second effect, it has no effect on anybody. All it does, it takes money away from people who have money, and it deleverages people who have a lot of debt. So if you start out with a family, you buy a home, and you have a lot of inflation, it's eating away that debt. So inflation is very good when you have more debt than you have savings. It hurts people who save, but it helps people who have a lot of debt. Unemployment numbers, even if the world starts again, it's going to take a while before that unemployment starts to unwind. So it might take 6 months, a year, 2 years. So this is why I'm saying this might be a global depression. This might be the start of a global depression, because it might take a long time before we can start everything. And when we call it global depression is because all around the world everybody's depressed. If you're not working, if you're not doing something constructive, then you get depressed. Your state of mind gets lowered. All right. So global tensions around the globe. Oil being at $20 is very cheap. Even in Canada, it's down to almost $5. That's essentially free oil. That's energy. And around $20, a lot of economies don't work at that price. So what happens is that it creates a lot of global tensions. And when you have escalating tensions, this might lead to war. And when you already have 32% of the population that's not working, it's very easy to take those people and make them join the military and go fight for this war if it happens. Okay, I'm not saying that it will happen, but when there's a lot of tension around the world, it usually leads to war. And even if you look at Ray Dalio and everything he proposes in his work, he's talking about a global tension. This is why it's some of the information that he's talking about. We're going to have a deflationary effect. We're already seeing that in the price of oil. If oil is going down, that's deflation. If commodity prices are going down, deflation. If you're buying your laptop cheaper, deflation. And deflation isn't good when you have a lot of debt. Because why? The reason why deflation is so dramatic is because if you have $1 million of debt and you have a deflation of 10%, well, your debt is essentially worth 1.1 million the next year. So are we going into a global depression in 2020? The odds are in favor, but it doesn't mean that it will. Maybe we'll get out of this situation and everything is going to be okay. But there's a lot of bad news right now. And even with the markets are not really correlated with what's going on out there. They're trying to separate the economy from the stock market. And maybe it's going to recover, maybe it's going to go back up higher. But in real life, if everything was attached and the government didn't intercept with these markets right now, we would have seen the markets tank a lot more. So that's that for today's video. If you like this kind of information, leave a like button. You can subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Thank you.